The first section we'll add to the page is the main menu. Again, I can use a Bootstrap component for this. Make sure the container fluid div is still selected. If not, you can click on the div node in the DOM panel and see that it highlights in both Code View and Live View. A quick note about the DOM. This is a really helpful panel that allows you to see the entire structure of your web page in a visual, hierarchical way. We'll see more of the DOM soon. Now, in the Insert panel, under Bootstrap Components, find the Navbar component. It has a drop-down menu of various menu styles you can use, but today we're just going to use the basic navbar. Click Basic Navbar and select the Nest option when prompted. This will place the navbar inside of the container that we have selected. In this example, the navbar is a child element, and it lives within the container, which is its parent element. As you can see in the DOM panel, it's clear that the navbar is nested inside the container fluid. So now we can see the navbar in Live View. Dreamweaver also adds the necessary code. Let's get a better look at what we have by expanding Live View. Click the Live button above the editing area to do so. As you can see, the navbar has some content that appears by default. At full width, we can see it has some text for your brand. It's got several links for menu items, including a drop-down menu. It has a search field and a button, and then some more menu links to the right. You can use this Live View scrubber to simulate how this menu will look across different screen sizes. Notice that as the display size gets smaller, the menu collapses to a sandwich icon, which is a common interface for mobile device browsing. Click the Split button to go back to Split View so that we can add our next piece of content. Because we've been doing some clicking around, we'll want to make sure that we're about to add the next component in the right place. In the DOM, find the node that says div with the class of container fluid. Then, select its child element, which is the node that says nav. If you don't see a child element, you may have to click on the div node to open up the stack. Now we want to add a carousel component, which is basically a slideshow for images and text. Let's add this after the navbar. In the Insert panel, click the carousel component and select After when prompted. This adds the carousel component after the navbar we have highlighted. Go ahead and save your work. Dreamweaver presents a dialog alerting you that the carousel placeholder image is being added to the Images folder in your site setup. Go ahead and click OK. In Live View, we can interact with the slideshow and preview it at different sizes. So next I want to add some heading and paragraph text in the main body area of this web page. In order to do so, we should first set up a container to add the text into. It's good practice to organize your sections in containers, and it makes it easy to style this section later in the tutorial. So first, let's make sure we're in the right place in the code. Click the div node with an ID of carousel 1 in the DOM panel. Now, in the Insert panel, select the HTML category and scroll until you see the article element. Click Article and select to place it after the carousel. Now click the H1 level heading from the Insert panel. Choose to nest it inside the article. And finally, select the paragraph from the Insert panel. Choose to place it after the H1 heading. On to the next section. Our final design has 3 thumbnail images. Let's start by adding just the first one. Make sure to click the Article node in the DOM panel so that we can add the thumbnail after it. Hopefully you're feeling more comfortable using the DOM panel now. In the Insert panel, select the Bootstrap Components category. Find and click the Thumbnails component. Choose to place it after the article. Save the page now and click OK when Dreamweaver alerts you that the thumbnail placeholder image will be added to your files. In the DOM panel, you can see that the thumbnail component is built in an interesting way. First, Dreamweaver creates a row container that spans across the whole page. Inside of that row is a column container. This column contains the text and image that makes up the thumbnail. We'll learn more about how this works later. The final piece we're going to add is the footer. This one's really easy. Make sure to select the div node with a class of row in the DOM panel. In the Insert panel, go back to the HTML category and select Footer. choose to place the footer after the thumbnail row. So now let's see what we have so far. Save the page and choose to preview it in the browser. And again, choose your preferred browser. Alright, our page doesn't look like much yet, but we have our structure in place. In the next video, we'll start updating some of the placeholder content with our own.